story Imagineers. What are you imagining is happening next in Maxzyne's big adventure, Maxzyne and the Old Horse Theater? So we're on chapter 6 today, but to recap a little bit, it was a really quick but intense part of the story. In chapter 5, Rico's father rushed forward and managed to lasso Caesar in the arena, but Mr. Stryker was really blaming the Calais family because Rico brought the strange horse into the stable, and also blaming Maxzyne, and had grabbed Maxzyne and was going to take her to the office and call the police for she was trespassing on the Old Horse Theater grounds. At the last second, Rico jumped on Caesar's back and urged Maxzyne to also climb up, and the two of them went racing on horseback down through the barn and out into the street, escaping from the very, very angry Mr. Stryker, the boss, and also Rico's very frightened family. So chapter 6, Trust. Maxzyne can hardly see past her own braids. The entwined strands, locked into place with red and white barrettes, bounce across her face in time to Caesar's trotting hooves. Thankfully, the street is deserted. The horse seems to have calmed under Rico's direction in expert hands. She feels the tension in her own shoulders relax a bit as she listens to the soft-spoken commands given by the young horseman. For the moment, there is no need for a gentle flick of the whip. "That's it, amigo," he croons. "You are in charge, but I lead." Rico?" She squirms in the saddle. Her neck twists as she tries to see his face. When she nearly loses her balance on the unstable perch, she decides to keep both hands on the saddle horn instead. "Just wondering, do you know where we're going?" There is a long pause as Rico carefully considers her question. "Some place where people and horses matter. See, Caesar?" He guides the horse toward the left lane of the quiet intersection on a tree-lined street. Caesar whinnies in response. It's as if he understands Caesar. But how can he? I've got the magic hat. She slides the canvas backpack strap higher on her shoulder. How else does he do it, though? Maxzyne can't answer these questions and shrugs in agreement with their destination. "Okay, that's cool." A light gust of wind blows a damp chill down her neck. With a shiver, she pulls up her shirt collar. "Good thing I borrowed this jacket." She sits up straight, grateful for and yet uncomfortably aware of Rico's body heat as he sits so close behind her in the saddle. She decides it's best to relax into the rhythm of the horse. "So, where exactly do people and horses matter in this town? I mean, if I know what the plan is, I can help." "Help, Higher Eyes?" His voice rises. "I made a plan, remember? Now we have trouble." With an exasperated flick of the riding crop, he slows Caesar down to a gentle trot. "Hey, no fair playing the blame game. If you recall, Caesar was the one who went crazy on us," she calls over her shoulder. "See, because we bring him to the theater. Now my family has big trouble. Maybe we lose our jobs and paychecks." Indignant at his accusation, she arches her back. "Brain freeze, I was just trying to help the horse. You're the one who stopped him," she hisses. "Besides, kids aren't even supposed to have jobs." Defiant, she turns sideways but nearly loses her balance again. She quickly faces forward. Don't you even go to school, she huffs. For what seems like a very long time, Rico remains silent. Well, talk much? She taunts. Behind her, he responds with a derisive snort. Rosa and I go to school in the morning. His voice is harsh. The school calls it a newcomer program, but the other kids call it the dummy program. From where he sits behind her, she can feel him shrug his shoulders as if he doesn't care. See, English is not our language, he scoffs. So we are slow, stupidos. Stupid. Let them think it. Annoyed, he kicks his feet out of the stirrups. Maxzyne just nods and waits for him to continue. And Miss Gomez, she comes to our apartment every Saturday to help us. Every Saturday? He gives a frustrated sigh. See, so we can be catch up. He leans toward her in the saddle. You know Espanol? Not like you. She shakes her head and the plastic barrettes rattle. I just started taking Spanish this year, she explains. Besides, your English is good. She chuckles. Lots better than my Spanish. You don't need that dummy program. Rico scoffs. Tell that to La Escuela. Rosa and me, we know what we need to do. We know horses. See, los caballos. What else matters, huh, Caesar? He twists the reins tighter in his sturdy brown hand. Yeah, she agrees, you know an awful lot. A wry, lopsided grin crosses her face. I saw you both practicing back there. Pretty cool, but scary. I thought somebody might die, especially Rosa. Those daredevil moves? Standing on horseback? Yikes! On one leg even. Where'd you learn that stuff anyway? Admiration creeps into her voice. Not to mention, don't you get scared? You know, riding so fast in circles? She pauses to look at the ground and shudders. She can't see him grin behind her. Seriously, Rico, I can't believe Rosa didn't fall. I'd be in a body cast for sure. Rico coughs into his shoulder, trying to stifle a laugh. Gauchos are not scared of los caballos, he scoffs. He steers Caesar down a narrow side street. It is in our bones and blood to ride a horse. Man and beast, we are as one. The young horseman sees a deserted parking lot on the right. He pulls on the reins. Caesar stops on the cracked asphalt that adjoins a vacant, boarded-up building. Rosa? He shrugs. She is a girl. Maxzyne can hear the edge creep back in his voice, but doesn't say anything. Like me, she wants only to be with the horses. Our mother was not happy with her choice. He raises his arms in a dramatic shrug. We are twins. His voice sounds far away. Born to ride horses. So, you're kind of like a cowboy? He playfully pokes her in the shoulder blade. See, but no cows in Chicago. She gives him a backward elbow, but he catches it just in time. Right, just steak. They both chuckle at his joke for a minute and fall silent. She glances at the vacant building. Okay, city gaucho, you want to help save a carriage horse, right? Well, we got to have a plan. My dad always says, you need an edge to overcome uncertainty. And things are kind of uncertain right now, don't you think? Rico inhales deeply. She waits as the air drains from his lips, his breath warm on her neck, which annoys her. Impatient to hear his plan, she whips around. Several of her braids catch him in the face. He leans back in the saddle, crying out, I'm still thinking, High Rise. Yeah, well, let's think faster together, huh? She screws up her face and closes her eyes. So, I'm thinking the only place that cares about people and horses is, drumroll please, the Chicago Mounted Police. And there's a, behind her, Rico positively jumps in the saddle. No, no, Policia. Whoa, cowboy. She motions a braking gesture with both hands. For someone so great on a horse, you sure are a scaredy cat. She's quick to qualify her statement. I mean, about city stuff. Seriously, the mounted police are great. Even better, I'm friends with one. I always see Officer Logan riding through Millennium Park, or on Michigan Avenue sometimes, but mostly during festivals and parades. He's really nice. No! Behind her, Rico violently shakes his head. Undaunted, she continues. He even lets us pet his horse, Ace, or take photos. You'll really like him. She throws out her hands as if it were obvious. Yes, but no police. Our family does not want trouble. But the police can help us, she insists. Rico twirls the reins in his hand. Gauchos have no use for police. Not now, not ever. Rosa, she is right. We need this job. It is the only way we can get back to my country. We owe the bank money for our ranch. He sighs, his voice wistful. It was our family home for many generations. Leaving it felt like a natural law was broken. Maxzyne watches Caesar nibble a mound of weeds growing through the cracked asphalt. You mean you might lose your home? See, not much work for gauchos these days. So we come to America. He watches Caesar graze. My Uncle Luis said there was work for my parents on a big farm in Texas. He sighs, remembering. The trip was long. Trains, buses, everyone with backpacks and big dreams of life in America. But for me, it was no dream. I was sad to cross the border. Maxzyne is perplexed. Sad? Why? Behind her, Rico's voice bristles, showing papers, questions, government officials. La Policia search us as if we are thieves, he complains, ticking off the items on his fingers. Gauchos don't believe in borders. Everything should be open and free, like it was in my country. His voice turns hard. Before the banks made fences with their rules, that's why we had to leave. Yeah, where's that? Uruguay in South America, far away. His voice drops to a whisper. The best place on earth. But now you're here. It's all good, right? Good for picking vegetables in Texas, see. Moving from farm to farm, see. He juggles the loose reins from hand to hand. Working for a jefe like Mr. Stryker? Feels like we're still stuck between fences, High Rise. Only now we're on this side of the border. She shrugs, annoyed. Well, it's a free country, you know. You can go home if you don't like it. Rico gives a loud snort, making Caesar prick his ears at him. I told you we have to pay the bank for our house and land by the end of the year or it's lost forever. Oh, yeah. Feeling his sadness, she changes the subject. Well, what about Texas? That seems like a good place for a horse-loving cowboy, right? He winds the reins tighter around his wrist, lost in reflection. During the summer, no school, so we pick vegetables all day. After, I sneak to the barn, just to be near Los Caballos. My earth spirits. His voice turns wistful again. I am home when I ride them, feed them, talk to them. Maxzyne shifts in her perch, puzzled. What's this about horse talk? I'm the one with the hat. She keeps her secret to herself as Rico's voice drops to a soft whisper. The work is hard, but we make money and Papa is happy. He and my uncle count money every night. We keep moving to the next crop every week, a new farm. But there is still not enough to give the bank for our home. Suddenly his voice brightens. But one day, the best day, something bueno happens. No, muy bueno, very good. He flicks the whip in the air. Maxzyne wriggles in her seat, growing impatient. Yay, don't keep me in suspense. Spill the beans. Rico yanks one of her back braids. Ow, she wails. He yanks again, enjoying his storytelling power. Keep your spurs on, High Rise. Ow! If I had spurs, I know who I would use them on. She ducks her head, protecting her braids with both hands. Rico taps the handle of the riding crop on her shoulder. If you must know, that was the day Papa let Rosa and me enter a rodeo contest in Texas. Cool, she marvels, then twists in the saddle to see him, though I've never been to a rodeo before. She leans over and strokes Caesar's dark mane. True confession, Rico, until today, the only horse I ever knew was Officer Logan's. Now I'm riding one. Rico nods. She glances back to see a wide grin cross his face, like trying to lasso the wind riding a new horse. Rosa and I got our chance at the rodeo. He snaps his fingers. First, we borrowed a horse I cared for when it was sick. I knew him well, so man and beast were as one. Huh? Maxzyne is confused. What's that mean? The horse gave me his trust, and Rosa, she gave us both her trust. So we won. Maxzyne claps her hands, bouncing in the saddle. Woohoo! First place! She shifts forward, looking puzzled. Won what exactly? A race? No. Best Horse Duo, Youth Division. He twirls the reins in his hands, remembering. It was a good day. Our moves were simple then, not like now. His voice grows thoughtful, but it was not skill that won. He shakes his head emphatically, a dark shock of hair falling across his face. What do you mean, Rico? You won fair and square, right? He flips his hair from his eyes with an impatient hand. See, of course. But trust won the contest. When we ride a horse we trust as a team. We think, we move, we are a team. Maxzyne nods. I guess having a twin like Rosa is pretty special. Always being a team. Sure wish I had one sometimes, she whispers. But then there'd be double trouble, I suppose. See, we share our mother's breath. We are tied together as one with the horses and with each other. He gives a rueful chuckle. Maybe too much, like when she says she was born first and knows best. He scoffs. Maxzyne straightens up and throws her shoulders back, hands on her hips. Well, maybe Rosa does, she proclaims. Girls usually do know best. She scoots forward in the saddle, but there is no jab in the back or jerk of her braids from behind. Rico remains silent. Okay, she offers, uncomfortable with his silence. She throws her right leg over the saddle horn, letting both legs dangle restlessly as she confides. I don't actually have a brother or sister, so I miss that teamwork thing. Except in soccer, of course. And even then, you're only as good as your last score. Besides, everybody on the team gets a trophy at the end of the season. It's no big deal. To win the rodeo was a big deal, High Rise. The prize money was a big deal. It gave us hope we could save our home and one day return there. As if in agreement, Caesar stopped snuffling weeds and whinnies. Did he just say when the carriage tourist tipped big, he got extra oats to eat? Distracted, she listens for another whinny from Caesar, but he continues to munch on green shoots growing through the cracked asphalt. Just having the magic hat in her possession gives her fleeting impressions about the horse, but Rico doesn't seem to notice anything. She returns to her questions. Then you came to Chicago, right, to be in the show here? Rico shakes his head. First, we did carnivals. Mr. Stryker saw us on the circuit. He offered us a job. Mama wanted to put down las races. He frowns, trying to find the right word in English. You mean roots? Put down roots, she adds helpfully. See, that's it, roots. Mama wants us to stay in one place so Rosa and I can spend more time in school to make a better life for us. No way kids get out of school in this country, huh? Recalling her own trouble at school, her conscience pricks. She ignores it, instead nodding for Rico to continue. So, Mr. Stryker made a deal with us. We ride in his show, and he gives us a part of ticket sales. But we need money fast, right? So Rosa and I pretend we are stupid in school to stay in the early morning dummy program. That way, we can practice new moves in the afternoon and ride in more shows. He lets his chin drop, unable to meet Maxzyne's gaze. It was the boss's idea. Mama does not know. He shrugs. Papa and Uncle Luis say we almost have enough dinero to go back to Uruguay. Enough to pay the bank what we owe for our ranch. He throws out his hands, nearly dropping the reins, but catches them just in time. Until then, what can we do? He gives a sarcastic growl. We just needed a little more cash. By Christmas, we might have saved enough, but after the damage to the stall and barn, and then... His voice trails off. Caesar's ears prick their way as he snuffles among the weeds. He seems content to be on a quiet street with the two young riders. Maxzyne and Rico listen to him, each lost in their own thoughts. Rico is the first to speak. It is good to be on a horse again, but I miss Las Pampas, the plains. He sighs. Well, you won't lose your job, will you? I mean, Mr. Stryker wouldn't fire you just for helping Caesar. Nobody's that mean, right? They are startled when Caesar suddenly sneezes, making them both laugh. Salud! Bless you! Rico calls out to the horse. He pats Caesar on the flank before answering her question. Maybe. Worse, he calls the policia and they ask too many questions about school. He throws his hands out dramatically. The other kids make fun of us, but Rosa and I work hard to be dummies. He lowers his arms, grinning, when Maxzyne giggles. His eyes grow thoughtful when he strokes Caesar again. Anyway, I had to save this horse. For a gaucho, the horse always comes first. Even before family? A horse is family. He reaches past her and rubs Caesar lightly between the ears. To their surprise, the horse lowers himself to the ground, bending his two front legs in a graceful bow. Stunned, the two easily slide from their high perch in the saddle to the ground. Rico laughs. Smiling, he lets the reins fall from his hands. This horse is no taxi. Caesar, show me more, amigo. He taps the horse lightly on the neck. His grin widens as the horse rises to stand on all fours. You mean he does tricks? Maybe. The boy's eyes sparkle. I saw horses like him in the carnival. Watching them, I learned the horse code. You mean signals? To show them what trick to do? See, we use it for our horses in the show. But some signs are complicated, she offers helpfully. See, complicated. He turns back to the horse. Caesar, we do a test. Maybe you are a show horse, huh? A prince in disguise. Ooh, like in a fairy tale, Maxzyne gushes. Rico smirks. See, but without the kiss, High-Rise. Her cheeks grow warm. Who said anything about kissing anyway? You're just giving him a test, she snaps. Geez, boys should come with a warning. We'll make fun of anything a girl says or does at all times. She snorts, her nostrils flaring. Rico ignores her irritation. Instead, he gently taps Caesar's two front legs with the riding crop. Amazed, they watch the horse come to life. He lifts his hooves in a jaunty dance, head erect, tail held high. Maxzyne stares, her mouth wide open. Rico grins at her. Careful, High Rise. You'll catch flies like that. Her jaw snaps shut. Despite her annoyance with him, she can't hide her wonder. But that's so cool. You made him dance, Rico. Look, he's a different horse, isn't he? With his own secret dance language. With a nod, Rico taps Caesar's knees again. Right on cue, the horse stands still on the asphalt. Then he taps the horse's left ear. Caesar turns in a circle to the left. When Rico taps the right ear, the horse easily makes another circle to the right. Intelligente! His eyes, I knew it. Rico taps Caesar twice on the chest. The horse lowers himself to a seated position on the cracked asphalt. Someone trained you well, huh, amigo? Caesar nickers and waits patiently for the next command. The boy taps the horse under his long chin. Slowly, Caesar rises. His curious eyes follow the young horseman's hands. Finally, Rico reaches into his pants pocket and retrieves a plastic zip bag of carrot chips. He offers several carrots to the horse. Caesar draws back his lips, showing his big yellow teeth and dark tongue. Rico is careful to let him eat from the flat of his palm. In her excitement, Maxzyne's words tumble in a rush. I have never met anyone like you before, Rico. She raises one hand to tick off items on her fingers. 1, you know horses. Like, you know so much about them, it's almost spooky. 2, we need to save this horse. And 3, you need to keep your job riding horses. Unconcerned, Caesar noisily crunches carrots. Rico carefully stows the zip bag in his pocket. The horse sniffs his jacket pocket, disappointed. He turns to look at Maxzyne with pleading eyes. She holds up her empty hands in front of his snout. Sorry, buddy, I'm fresh out. With a derisive snort, the horse returns to sniffing a weedy patch in the asphalt. Listen, Rico, I think you have to trust people sometimes. And I trust Officer Logan a lot. I mean, really. The boy ignores her and retrieves the leather reins. Hey, are you even listening to me? Save your breath, High Rise. He stands, arms folded across his chest, a steely glint in his eyes. No, not till you tell me you're going to help save this horse, cowboy. To prove she means business, she folds her own arms across her chest. It isn't hard to glare back at him. You said you and Rosa won that rodeo because you were a team, remember? Rico gives her a skeptical nod. Well, looks like I'm the only team you've got right now, and he needs us. She points at the horse and waits. Caesar whinnies and bobs his head as if in agreement. See, even he wants us to be his team. She strokes the horse's cheek. We won't let you down, buddy, she croons. Finally, Rico nods, letting his arms fall to his sides. We are not the A-team, he retorts. She ignores his taunt and lets her own arms drop. So, like I was saying, once I got stranded in a crowd at Navy Pier during the fireworks. Next thing I knew, Officer Logan and his horse, Ace, helped me get back to my parents. She feels herself starting to blush. I was only 6, so it was a big deal. Suddenly self-conscious, she nervously fiddles with one of her barrettes. Anyway, my parents took me to see Ace later. I gave him some apples. She exhales in a hurry to make her point. So that's why I knew Officer Logan would help Caesar. Really. From behind the horse, they hear a splat. Caesar takes several steps forward, steering clear of the droppings. The smell of fresh horse manure drifts up from the pavement. Maxzyne holds her nose and points at the pile. She has the distinct impression that Caesar is embarrassed. Did he just say, excuse me? Besides, it's getting kind of stinky here. Rico swings the reins in his right hand. This Officer Logan, you think he will do the right thing for Caesar? He looks doubtful. This horse must not work in the streets. It will kill him. He leans forward and strokes Caesar's cheek with the back of his hand. Maxzyne hears him whisper, "You are too good for that, amigo. Too proud." The graceful animal raises his head and nickers in response, his fat, dark lips vibrating. She can't contain her curiosity. "Do you think he understands us, Rico? I mean, it's not like horses can talk, I suppose. It just seems he knows what we're saying and wants to tell us stuff." She trails off, not wanting to appear foolish. Every gaucho knows horses can't talk, High-Rise. But with time and experience, there is no need for words, huh, Caesar? He grins at the horse before turning back to Maxzyne and offering his arm. She rolls her eyes in exasperation. Oh yeah, Rico thinks he knows so much. Well, I'm definitely not telling him about the magic hat. If you think Officer Logan won't ask too many questions about school and work, we'll ask him to help. And now, ladies first. With a very unladylike grunt, Maxzyne pulls herself up into the saddle. In a flash, she tries to tug the reins away from Rico. Not to be outdone, he scrambles up beside her. He gives her a smug look, tightly holding the reins. With a low whistle, he lightly taps the riding crop on the horse's strong shoulders. The unlikely trio moves back to the sidewalk as Caesar trots quickly past the abandoned lot and derelict building. Still in control, Rico flicks the reins. I trust you to show the way, High-Rise, but this horse, he trusts only a gaucho. He told me. And that's the end of chapter 6, but we've got a few questions to think about here. So Rico and Rosa go to school in the morning in a newcomer program, but some children call it the dummy program. Why would they call it that? Is it fair to the newcomers? Rico is reluctant to go to Maxzyne's friend, Officer Logan, for help. She explains that she trusts him and encourages Rico to trust other people sometimes. Why is Rico afraid of the police? Why doesn't he want to engage with the police? Rico describes his experience crossing the border into the United States. What do you think about his experience? How do you think our country should treat people who are coming here to live and work? Maxzyne tells Rico that it is pretty special to have a twin like Rosa and always be part of a team. Do you ever wish you had a twin? Could a best friend be as special and close to you as a natural-born twin? So that ends chapter 6 for us today. I hope you enjoyed it, and just want to remind you that with your parents' permission, if you have any questions and would like to email me about reading, writing, Maxzyne, storytelling, you name it, just write an email question to me at maxzyne.com and I'll be happy to answer it. So until the next time, keep reading and writing.